Hello, friends. Welcome back, and thanks for continuing to listen to me. My name is Joseph Areu, and in my last video, you will remember I talked to you about buying dividend shares in the context of the time I'm talking to you, which is February, time when companies are auditing their books, and sooner or later, they will be announcing dividends. And I did promise you that I will talk to you about estimating or calculating the actual, if you like, annualized or effective rate of return or yield that you get from a dividend. In other words, if you want to compare the rate of return you get from a dividend to, say, your treasury bill rates, for example, or to the fixed deposit rate in your bank. Let's start by assuming, based on the records that we have, in the Nairobi Securities Exchange, many companies would pay, many banks, for example, pay about 11%. 11% dividend yield. Let's even say it's only about 10%. All right? Dividend yield. Now, if you buy that share around about now, in another month or month and a half's time, we expect companies to declare their dividends. And maybe another month, a month and a half later, they would actually pay. So if you buy a share now, it will take about 3 months for you to get paid that dividend. So if it takes 3 months for you to be paid, say, 10%, what would be the equivalent annual rate of return? Right? 3 months is like a quarter of a year. Okay? So if we even assume just the basic, simple, straight line interest calculation, then you can multiply that 10% by 4. That is 4 quarters, right? In other words, we assume that when you get paid that dividend, you reinvest it. We are assuming that you reinvest it in treasury bills, for example. And let's assume that you will get about the same return per 3 months. In other words, 10%. Right now, you will actually get more. Okay? So 10 4 times, that is every 3 months, that gives you 40%. So if a company is paying you a dividend yield of 10%, all right, in 3 months' time, it means you are actually earning an annual rate of about 40%. Now, 40%, how does that compare with treasury bills? Treasury bills right now, you'd probably get about, in Nairobi, you probably get an annualized rate of about 15, which is very high, but that's roughly where it is. Fixed deposits, you'd probably be looking at around about 12%, 10 to 12%, which is a bit high, but yes, you can get that in Kampala, in Nairobi. You can check that in other markets. So you can see that a dividend payout, a dividend yield in the region of 10% is a very good rate of return. Even if it was 5%, 5% multiplied by 4, that's about 20%. And add to that, by the way, the fact that at least in our markets, at least in the Kenya market that I am fairly familiar with, dividends tend to attract a lower withholding tax rate of, last time I checked, it was probably around about 5 to 10%. And yet interest will attract a withholding tax rate of about 15%, depending on where you're based. So you can see that you have some good advantages, good benefits in terms of return by investing or buying dividends. So happy investing, my friends. Do consider buying some dividend shares, and if you consider them, this is around about the time to buy them. Thank you, and I look forward to talking to you again.